Imagine a world with no sports. What remains? Football, baseball, and basketball are surely gone, but what if fencing, cheerleading, or chess? This all depends on a single idea, the definition of sport. I'm going to lay it all out for you, list my sources in the description, and leave you with a clear divide between sports and simple activities. Competitive physical activities can be traced back as early as 30,000 years ago through evidence on cave walls in the form of paintings in Australia, France, and Africa. They depict some sort of physical activity unrelated to hunting or scavenging of any kind, rather depicting competition amongst each other. We've also got the Olympic Games of ancient Rome and Greece. This sort of thing traces up through the Egyptians, Middle Ages, Renaissance, and even the natives of Hawaii. This continued up through the late 20th century showing of sports on television, which brought with it a boom in popularity. Let me run through a few definitions I've seen around the web. Activity engaged in for relaxation and amusement. Physical activity that is governed by a set of rules or customs and often engaged in competitively. An active diversion requiring physical exertion and competition. The occupation of athletes who compete for pay. The one that sums up everything in the best way, in my opinion, is on Wikipedia. A physical activity or skill carried out with recreational purpose, for competition, for self-enjoyment, to attain excellence, for the development of a skill, or some combination of these. A sport has a physical activity, side-by-side competition, and a scoring system. So the best definition clearly consists of three parts: physical activity, side-by-side competition, and a scoring system. Let's check this against the four most well-known sports: soccer, American football, baseball, and basketball. They're all incredibly physical, involve side-by-side competition in the form of teams, and all obviously have a scoring system. Great. Now to check some of the activities debated on. Let's start with chess. Side-by-side competition and scoring, yes, but physical activity? Depends on how loose you are with what constitutes physical activity. I say no. Chess is a game or activity. How about weightlifting? Outside of actual competitive events, this is not a sport despite the high level of physical activity. Within events, though, we satisfy all three conditions. Competitive weightlifting is a sport. Fencing. The physical activity here is actually quite intense, and it clearly involves side-by-side competition and a scoring system. Fencing is a sport. Wrestling. Well, professional wrestling is actually a scripted show, so I'm talking about the non-professional kind. Just like fencing, this fits all three conditions and is, therefore, a sport. Now the big one, the big mama, the juicy steak. Cheerleading. Again, we're clearly talking about competitive cheerleading. That obviously includes side-by-side competition and a scoring system, and to the dismay of many football jocks and the like, cheerleading most certainly requires a ridiculous amount of physical activity. Thus, cheerleading, competitively, is indeed a sport. There you have it. Remember the definition and there will be rarely a heated debate. Happy sporting. VEDA!